Choptank specifically, about 60 miles from Tillman Island all the way up to Greensboro, and in years past we've given it one score, one grade. And sitting back and really looking at that, we knew that what was going on in Tillman Island and Harris Creek and Broad Creek was not the same that was going on up in Greensboro as far as water quality goes. And so this year was the first year that we decided to break the river up into two regions. And we split it sort of right in the middle at what's called Hunting Creek. And the reason we chose that is because everything below Hunting Creek, between there and the bay, we feel is the water quality is mostly influenced by the Chesapeake Bay and the water that's flushing in from the bay. Everything above that line there is mostly influenced by us, by what we're doing on the land. And so by dividing the river up into two regions, that helps us not only look at it as two different systems, but it allows us to approach the way it allows us to approach restoration and conservation practices more specifically. Since we know that the upper part of the Choptank is mostly influenced by the land, we're going to be working with land-based practices to help improve the water quality. Whereas in the bottom part of the river, the lower part of the river, we know that that's mostly influenced by the water coming in from the Chesapeake Bay. So we might not be able to have the biggest influence on the water quality down there, but what we can do is work on things like habitat improvement, reseeding underwater grasses that provide great habitat for the crabs and the fish. Oyster restoration is a huge effort of ours down in that region. And so we feel that this division has helped us focus our attentions and our efforts in certain areas. The Lower Choptank did see an improvement from a B to a B+. Again, that's the division line from Hunting Creek down. And then the Upper Choptank, just what we thought, it saw a decrease over time from a C+ to a C. So Broad Creek has notoriously been one of the tributaries with the best water quality in it, and it did receive an A in the 2016 sampling results. And on the flip side, Tuckahoe Creek is notoriously known for having the worst water quality in the Choptank River system. And Tuckahoe Creek went from a C to a C-. It's tough to put a time on when we'll start to see incremental improvements from a C potentially to a B and then to an A, but we're going to continue to monitor the groundwater as well, because those are the areas that are feeding into this channel. And so we have these non-tidal sections above Greensboro, above the upper parts of the reaches that flow into these tidal sections, and we're also monitoring those areas as well to see if we can start to see a change in there. So then hopefully in years to come we'll start to see that reflected in the tidal portions of the river. The overall message I would say with the grades is that yes, things are improving, but one thing to always remember is that the weather has a great influence on water quality. And so what we did this year is we went back and we looked at the precipitation records for the past 2 years, then also for the past 5 years, just to see if we could identify anything. And the past 2 years we did have a below average rainfall. And so when you look at rainfall, we look at transport. And what I mean by that is when it rains, let's say in the upper part of the Choptank River watershed, it lands on all the rain lands on the land. And then it transports all of those pollutants that are on the land into our system. And so when you have below average rainfall, you have below average inputs coming into the system. So understanding that the past 2 years the rainfall was below average, well, that got us thinking, well, how can we mimic this low rainfall event in high rainfall years? And so for instance, how can we have fewer inputs even when we do have large amounts of precipitation?